It's 15 hours.
Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this very, very special occasion whereby we are commemorating the World Pharmacist Day. And today it was a very, very pleasant surprise for us at Rethink India when we discovered that this very international day falls on this very special occasion in the Indian nationalist movement, that it is also the birth anniversary of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, who happens to be the founder, proponent of the doctrine of integral humanism. As we all know that across the ideological spectrum, there has been outright socialist thought processes which were practiced out there. On the other extreme of the ideological curve, there has been the thought process of capitalism, a capitalist state. But somewhere or the other, the Indic pantheon, the Indic mind thought between the two, एक मध्यस्थ मार्ग की बात उन्होंने की, and that was all about balancing it out. And we then felt like, why not commemorate these two very important occasions by way of a felicitation. And integral humanism is all about reaching to the last mile. It is all about Antyodaya, and across the government quarters, today's day is also being commemorated as the Antyodaya Divas. And this spirit of Antyodaya has been so very prominently displayed in India's vaccination program. Like we have been able to vaccinate over 80 crore people, this vast nation of 133 crore. So this has been a terrific accomplishment which we have had over this national vaccination program. So we thought of commemorating the champions of pro-people pharma on this very solemn day, and we sent out invitations to the entire India's pharmaceutical space. And at Rethink India, we work on the interface of academia, industry, and government. And where academia, we call it as the fifth estate, the foremost estate. It is the anchor which really propels the entire spaces out there. We have been joined in by Professor Raghuvanshi sir from the Indian Pharmacopoeia as well. So we just try to bring together all these prominent stakeholders who are really working like the Neve ki Eat, who are really working out as the foundational pillars of this country's mammoth, majestic, I would say, pharmaceutical sector, which generally in the layman terms, we are a lot of proud about our information technology exports and a host of other things. But India's pharmaceutical space, and India being one of the very prominent global exporter of generics, its own indigenous programs in research, is something quite very little known of. So this is an occasion of celebration. We had thought of felicitating a vast galaxy of very eminent people from the Indian pharmaceutical space today, but somehow or the other it just came through that our realization of convergence of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's birthday, as well as that of the Indian World Pharmacy Day. It came a bit later, so all our stakeholders were requiring a bit of a time. So we just felt, why not initiate a kind of a roundtable, a kind of a conversation on these very important themes, and educate and illumine the entire academic world, the entire intelligentsia of the country. about the issues involved and the futuristic frontiers, what our pharma sector can really achieve. And also as a part of our Atmanirbharta, as a part of our $2 trillion US dollars to the $5 trillion US dollars, that strategic shift we want to take. So the felicitations would now be done on 11th of February, which happens to be the Punyatithi of the Savant in Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji. And we also have, so we would be bringing in all these very eminent personalities in the Indian pharmaceutical space. And we will be talking every Saturday in these small, short, brief roundtables. And today we have the very distinctive privilege to have the academic and research triumvirate from one of the very, I would say, proactive NIPERs. भारतवर्ष अपनी IITs को लेकर बहुत अहंकार रखता है, स्वाभिमान रखना चाहिए. We have a lot of pride of place for our Indian Institutes of Management and other categories of institutions. So these NIPERs, these National Institutes of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, the first NIPER was established in the year 1998, a year before the Pokhran II. And in the year 2007 and 8, this entire NIPER family got expanded. And today we have an eminent galaxy of Saptarishi NIPERs. 7 cities of the country are dotted with these lovely National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research. And today we have the 3 eminent academics and researchers from NIPER Hyderabad. And I would like to welcome Dr. Priyanka Bajaj, who has already joined us over here. We also would be having with us Dr. Saurabh Srivastava and also Dr. Shanti Kar. So this triumvirate who were nominated by the Honorable Director of NIPER Hyderabad, Madam Shashi Bala Singh, and very beautiful, very elaborate nomination notes what we got for these coveted recognitions. So we also have been joined in by Sir Rajiv Raghuvanshi, sir.
Yeah, he serves the director of the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission.
Yeah, so Pharmacopoeia Commission, they are the authoritative and they are the foundations. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं कि कूर्मावतार में जब मंदराचल पर्वत चल रहा था समुद्र मंथन में, so somewhere or the other we really need that scientific and technological base on which the I would say the Indian pharmacological industry is really making its global strides over there. So just a brief introduction of the 3 eminent personalities who would be talking about these very important issues. See, in India, there has never been a thought of extremes. The entire pharmaceutical industry wants to be balancing out the obligation of futuristic drug discoveries, which is obviously a very, very, it requires investment of capital as well as the intellectual capital and a host of other things. Then the entire manufacturing process, which needs to be defectless. And last but not least, the concern of any regulatory regime that our drugs, whatever we do the research, it has to be affordable to the common people. So these are this triad needs to be balanced, and these roundtables every Saturday, what we would be conducting, they would be trying to explore and they would be trying to excavate as to how to balance this triad and how a public private people's compact can be created, so that, because as in the scholarly field, people are saying that COVID is just the start of a biological warfare. So maybe we might be having more and more such challenges in future. So how our Indian pharmaceutical industry, our Indian pharmaceutical academia and the regulatory bodies, the government would work in tandem. And also some of the key frontiers we would be excavating in these roundtables till 11th of February, what we are now expanding this Gyan Yagya, that how the Pharma Vision 2020, which got disrupted by the COVID lockdowns in a big way, that how it can be furthered over and over again. I would just quickly introduce our eminent panel today. And because it's imperative on us to really introduce them in, I would say, the respect and the depth which they required. I would just a moment. I have it with me. Yes. So yes, I'll just share the screen. Yes. Okay, so Dr. Saurabh Srivastav, he pursued his master's in pharmaceutical sciences from BITS Pilani, Rajasthan. and his doctorate from Punjab University, Chandigarh. And he carries more than 15 years of profound industrial and research experience working with several pharmaceutical R&Ds, including IPCA Labs, Mumbai, Wokhard Research Center, Aurangabad, and Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, Hyderabad, for the development and commercialization of various NDA and ANDA based products for different regulatory markets. And his areas of research interest include development and optimization of industrially viable, feasible, and scalable differentiated formulations through the utilization of micro and nanostructured uh, uh, targeted drug deliveries along with novel platform technologies, including amorphous solid dispersion, fluidized bed processing, particle coating, pallet-based controlled drug deliveries, compression coating, multiple unit particulate systems, osmotic drug deliveries, and lipid-based drug carriers for the purpose of bioavailability enhancement, food effect minimization, repurposing new indication, synergism for FDCs, dose and dosing frequency reduction. And his major therapeutic area of research is neurodegenerative disorders, dermal diseases, colon targeting GI disorders, and prostate breast cancer. Dr. Srivastav has mentored 9 master research scholars, and 5 PhD research scholars are carrying out their doctoral research under his supervision. He, along with his research team, is actively involved in the execution of several industrial and government-aided research projects for the establishment of novel differentiated product development. And he has been awarded several appreciations and special recognition awards from Dr. Reddy's Laboratories for his outstanding contribution in research and development, and along with international travel grant from CSIR New Delhi. And he has 2 commercial products, 10 international and national patents, 1 edited book, and 8 book chapters, along with 25 research publications in journals of international repute, with 360 plus citations further to his credit. We make it a point at Rethink India that this scientific accomplishment should be read out in its elaboration. Because if India has to really take a leapfrog on its economic frontiers, we have to start cheerleading our scientists, our technocrats, more than our, I would say, administrators and the politicians. They have their own role, but our scientific community really needs to be commemorated. So I would now like to invite Dr. Saurabh Srivastav to give up his opening remarks on this larger subject matter of this roundtable. And then we will move on to the next speaker. And that's how the whole community will get really illumined as to what our eminent researchers in the domain of pharmaceutical space think about it, what is their vision, and the triad of balancing out the triple obligations, what we have talked about. So over to Dr. Srivastav to invoke the forum. Yeah.
Thank you, team Rethink India, and thank you for providing this opportunity and platform to speak out here loudly for the vision which Rethink India has emphasized to take up further, which is none other than assuring defectless manufacturing, newer drug discovery aspects, and novelty in the formulation development approaches. So I would be just briefly taking out some time to tell about my journey of research and orientation for product development. And the journey starts from in the year 2005, when I was passing out my master's degree from BITS Pilani. And the BITS Pilani is basically my alma mater, and it is known for the commercial aspects or the industrial aspects of its knowledge implications. So they have sent me for practice school session, which is a current scenario also, current practice also, which is BITS Pilani is practicing. So they used to send their scholars in different industries for their practice school sessions. And I have joined IPCA Laboratories, Mumbai, for my practice school session in 2005. So that journey starts from there, and then the academia has joined the links, join hands with the industry at that point of time. And there I have learned and evolved in as a technocrat, likewise all the panel members were just mentioning. And we have been learning and developing the skill sets so that we could be going up, taking up new challenges in terms of formulation development approaches and all. So that journey started from there. And then afterwards, after completion of my practice school, I've been taken up by campus placement has been taken up to me to the Wokhard Research Center, Aurangabad, where I have professionally and means scientifically taken up a product which is called metoprolol, which is nowadays the lifestyle disease, which is hypertension. So that particular drug API is used for that particular disorder, lifestyle disorder, hypertension. So there we have established a novel formulation, which was basically a pellet-based system. And we have quoted out that metoprolol onto the pellet-based system, and we have established a bioequivalent system for Toprol XL, which is a US FDA approved commercial product available in the market. So, and that was the turning point for this journey to start with in a full-fledged manner, because from that product, it has given a US granted patent to me and to the organization, and the Wokhard has boomed up like anything through that product, because that was a blockbuster product for Wokhard R&D Aurangabad. And then afterwards, I have gone to pursue my PhD at Punjab University, Chandigarh, as a CSIR fellow. And then after completion, I have been migrated to Dr. Reddy's labs, Hyderabad, IPDO, where I was heading as a team of 11 professionals as a differentiated formulation development team. I was heading that team, and a number of projects we have delivered over there, and we have headed up with several rounds of discussions and meetings with US FDA, because we were working on certain projects of isotretinoin and acitretin, which was used technically for retinoids. These are basically retinoids which are used for acne and skin disorders. So that journey has migrated from there, and those products have been commercialized. Now, after taking out 10 years of my industrial career, I have migrated to academia. Now I am part of NIPER Hyderabad, and thanks to our Honorable Director, Dr. Shashibala Singh, and Dr. Amit Asthana, who is the Research Associate Dean here in NIPER Hyderabad, for giving and providing me this opportunity to get connected to the Rethink India team. And after getting that assimilation of all the industrial expertise, now what my vision is to join this academia is that whatever we have learned, let us transform it to the society. Let us give it back to the society, because the real service and the real scenario to serve a mankind will be starting from there only. So that was my thought process while I have taken a break from industry and joined academia here at NIPER's platform. And this platform is really a good platform, because whatever we are learning will not be limited up to me only, will be transmitted to the generations apart. And those will be those we will be not only limited to the only one scientist, Dr. Saurabh Srivastava, but we will be creating many more Dr. Saurabh Srivastava, which would be coming out from the different batches from our labs, and creating a very healthy young professionals who can take up their baton further to take up the journey. So I would be just mentioning here that what is the futuristic drug discovery we are talking about, how we are going to make that futuristic drug discovery in a real scenario. So I would be emphasizing, and my lab particularly is emphasizing in repurposing of drug molecules, which is my forte of research also. So we are focusing on repurposing of drugs which are already having established safety and efficacy data in the domain. Because we know that in Indian scenario, if you are going to have a kind of clinical setups, clinical studies to be conducted, that would be a very time consuming, and that would be costing much beyond our capacities. Mm-hmm. So we are having a smart way to work through, where we can go for repurposing a drug molecule which is already having established safety and efficacy data. And I would be more than happy I'm more than happy to share that part, that right now we are having 3 industrial partners who are really willing to take up our research products which we have established in our labs to the commercial levels. I'm very proudly saying this thing, that thanks to our honorable director, her untiring efforts has given us the platform where whatever research we are doing in our labs, scientific labs, are really in a form of a transformable research. We are going towards commercializing those products. So this is one part, and I would be emphasizing on the repurposing of that molecule. And the second theme which Rethink India has established is reproducibility, or assuring the defectless manufacturing. So how we can assure that defectless manufacturing? That would be coming out by two things. One is reproducibility. We have to ensure that whatever products we are establishing, we would be able to reproduce those data sets. Then only we can say that defectless manufacturing will be happening. Otherwise, there are no certain aspect to maintain that quality of the product. And the second thing will be following out stringent guidelines, stringent regulatory guidelines. We are really in touch. I have personally seen that face of regulatory agencies, US FDA. We have been meeting out US FDA while I was part of DRL team. So we have had certain meetings with the regulatory US FDA teams, and we understand what kind of expectations they are having from any commercial product to be taken up to the market. So the regulatory guidelines and implementation of that regulatory guidelines is a really key theme that we need to follow up. So these 2-3 things which I would like to emphasize here, I have mentioned over there, that futuristic drug discovery and the going ahead way is the repurposing of the molecule. First thing, where already established safety and efficacy will be playing a key role for that. And the second thing is assuring defectless manufacturing will be coming out through understanding of reproducibility of the data set and the stability of the data set. Then only we would be manufacturing the defectless manufacturing will be taken care with the proper commercial aspects and industrial viability. And the third part which I have mentioned is the novelty, how we can go for novelty. So we have to focus on nano aspects and nanomaterial delivery systems, which we are taking up very enthusiastically in our labs. And we are following and implementing the regulatory guidelines, regulatory requirements, so that it could be taken up further for the next level of commercialization. Thank you for providing this opportunity to speak up. Thanks a lot, Rethink India team. Thank you.
This is really so very inspiring that eminent scientists from the industry are returning back to the academia, and this kind of a cross migration, this kind of a shift between from academia to industry to academia and so forth is somewhat very, I would say very, very interesting to note. We have been joined in by someone who really anchors this entire futuristic research into standards, into stringent processes, and India certainly is so very proud to have its own native pharmacopoeia. We have with us Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi sir, who is the Honorable Secretary and also the scientific advisor to the entire pharmaceutical industry, because it is in this anchoring that this entire industry is soaring so very high. So I would like to really invite him to invoke this forum as to what Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is doing to really propel this futuristic frontiers of the futuristic drug discovery, the defectless manufacturing. Because without you as an anchor, जैसे बड़े-बड़े समुद्र में जहाज को अगर anchor नहीं मिलेगा, तो Titanic भी हिल जाएगा. So this is what a profound day to really commemorate this very silent but very substantive body of literature, of technical literature in our country. So I would invite Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi sir to invoke this forum and really guide us and illumine us. Dr. Srivastava, please. Yeah.
Before we proceed, sir, I was not aware that Rajiv sir is joining. Sir, good evening, sir. Good afternoon, sir. He's my guru, guide, and mentor. I have been nurtured by him only, and he was my boss and my superior, my mentor, my guide, my guru, everything. Whatever I'm today, due to Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi sir is there. So he has only mentored me and guided me at each and every step at DRL. And whatever I'm doing here right now is due to sir's guidance only and sir's wishes only, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And honored to have sharing this platform with you, sir.
So you have to unmute yourself, Rajiv sir. Yeah.
Thanks, Rethink India. And Saurabh, this was very humbling and a bit embarrassing also. Whatever you're doing and achieved, it is because of you. We are just media, you can say, via media.
It's all your blessings, sir.
So, thanks again. And it's a pleasure to be here talking to some of the think tank working in this area of, at the national and international level. And certainly, I think it warrants a couple of minutes to understand my background and how my journey went and how I came here, what I'm doing today. So I am basically a student of IIT BHU, Masters, Bachelor's. They did my PhD from Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, institute called National Institute of Immunology. Worked there for about 6-7 years. Then from academia, shifted to industry. Worked for 12 years with the Indian multinational Ranbaxy in their R&D at various positions, and then shifted to another company called another Indian multinational called Dr. Reddy's Labs in Hyderabad. Spent 11 years there, where I met Saurabh, and he was part of my team. So one of the team members of whom I am very proud of, that whatever we try to do comes as a reflection with the people who you work with. So after 11 years at Reddy's and probably getting to top and all the satisfaction of corporate pharma, but then like many of us, this thought started coming that what next in life. There was still many years, productive years, if I can say, left in my career. But somehow I decided to actually leave corporate pharma and join Indian government of India. Because that was the trigger for that was I wanted to do a little more impactful role where you can actually see the impact of your work directly on the patients who are ultimately the customer for the pharma industry. And that took me to this place, and just 6 months old in government setup, completely different world, but I'm enjoying, and I'm enjoying because I did not come with any expectation. Otherwise, probably a lot of people advise me not to do this. This might be detrimental and you will run away, it's frustration and all that. But then I said, no, let me try. But I think I took a right decision. Whatever we do on daily basis, we see immediate impact of those decisions, be it policy, be it anything, regulatory system. So as an institute, we are trying to improve the quality of medicines at the national level. Historically, if you see, the pharma industry is one of the bigger industries in this country with respect to contribution to GDP. We have, we are called as the pharmacy of the world for right reasons. 20% of US pharma volume comes from India. We are, I think, 9th largest producers of active pharmaceutical ingredients in world. A lot of milestones this country has actually crossed at the global scene. And we also have a very robust and very huge domestic pharma industry. Practically, it is 50-50. The volume, from volume terms, 50% of the production is export and 50% is domestic consumption in pharma in this country, which is huge. When you come to value, the export is more because your realization is more. Otherwise, if you compare at the volume level, it is equal. In the domestic sector, there are a lot of MSMEs who work pharma industry. And Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is an organization which has 4 main mandates which we follow. I hope you guys have time because I'm not taking much time. Yeah. So the first and foremost is publishing the Indian Pharmacopoeia, that book of standards for this country. So any drug which is sold in this country has to meet the standards which we decide and publish in that pharmacopoeia. So it has a huge impact on the quality of medicines being sold in this country. That is the regulatory aspect of what we do. But you also have to understand that this work actually has the capability to uplift the whole industry. Why I'm saying is, if you, unless until you publish a monograph with the specifications about a drug, you will see very limited number of companies making the product because they do not know what quality of product we made. The moment you publish it in Pharmacopoeia, then it's time for MSMEs, because now they know that what they have to make. And immediately you will see multiple number of companies coming into production of the product. So it actually takes the whole industry to the next level. And currently we have about 1,200 monographs of pharmaceutical products in IP, and 900 some monographs of active pharmaceutical ingredient. So you can see the impact which would have happened through this about 3,000 monographs we have published in this country. So for me, IP per se and this organization has contributed significantly in growth of the pharma industry in this country. Whatever we are eating today as medicine, the quality, whatever world can say, but even then, the standards which has been set in past, and since I joined, I'm trying to give it a completely different shape and thinking at the organizational level, bringing some corporate components into the working, the evaluation, understanding the customer, which is mainly industry, becoming more open to suggestions. Because earlier the typical government mindset is that industry is always, you have to beware of industry. But I think the times have changed and we have to also change, and maybe that was the reason why government decided to bring in here at this position, because the whole pharma industry at the policy level is changing. A lot of changes have happened. Maybe that was one of the reasons why I came here. So a lot of things to do. Need support from scientists like panel sitting here, and beyond IP, we do another very interesting and very responsible job as an organization. We manage the whole pharmacovigilance of this country. And pharmacovigilance is actually an activity which completes the loop of drug development to patient value chain. And it gives an opportunity for inventor or innovator or regulator to do the improvement or tweaking or any regulatory intervention required because of side effects of the drug which has been launched. We have created very robust system of collecting the adverse event data. As I talk, we have about 500 centers spread all across this country in various hospitals, private and government, where we have put in our people. We have trained the local faculty of that medical colleges and hospitals on collecting this adverse event data. And in real time, that is transferred to our office in Ghaziabad. And then we do the data analytics on that. And if you find that there is some signal coming out of it which needs intervention, we recommend it to Drug Controller General Office for further action. And there are a lot of actions which has already been taken based on our recommendations and analysis. We are one of the collaborators for the World Health Organization in pharmacovigilance. Very significantly recognized and I would say a big recognition for India as a country, because we are one of the 8 global centers of WHO who collaborate with WHO on pharmacovigilance. And happy to say that we completed one cycle of 4 years, and last week only we got the renewal for the next cycle of 4 years. So at global scene also, this organization is doing very good when it comes to pharmacovigilance. We also publish a book called National Formulary of India, and that book actually promotes the rational use of drugs in this country.
Okay.
I mean, if you see the prescription practice in this country, especially in the class C cities and rural India, a lot of irrational practices go on in clinical practice. So this book actually gives all the essential medicines, how to use, what indication, what dose, what frequency, so that people who want to do rational practicing and they do not get the opportunity to get that knowledge, they consult this book for proper prescription. So different ways we are trying to do the intervention in the system at the national level, and slowly expanding to international level also. Our currently, as I talk, we are putting a lot of efforts on recognition of our pharmacopoeia by foreign countries.
Okay. Okay.
We are presenting as a vendor for those countries that you recognize my pharmacopoeia because it has a lot of value for you also. So that activity has started. We are getting good positive signals currently. Government is very supportive. The new minister is supporting a lot. So altogether, it looks like I took a right decision at the right time and left the industry for people to take it to the next level. And I thought that after all this experience of 25-30 years, I think I can do more impactful role if I get some decision-making role at the government level. And that probably has happened. So that's in brief what I have been doing and what
Lovely.
currently
Lovely. In fact, Dr. Raghuvanshi closes that triad that in India, what happens if you get into government, you are a government servant all through. So Indian pharmaceutical industry is really presenting those spectacles of progressiveness, where, as we saw in the case of Dr. Srivastav, that he moved from industry to academia. And Dr. Raghuvanshi moved from industry to government. Now, this is a very, very, I would say, pleasing, a progressive experience. And somewhere or the other, this industry, Indian pharmaceutical sector really gives a kind of a blueprint and architecture for the other sectors, that we do have our own indigenous, our own Atmanirbhar standard, because that is where we can anchor upon. And Sir said a very, 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 I would say, very important point, that once the standards are there, the MSMEs know what to make. Because in this fast changing world, we really need a kind of a body who really gives, because Indian entrepreneurship, Indian industriousness is unmatchable in the world. But what we are somewhere lacking is our own intellectual property. And what IP, its name again, it rhymes with the intellectual property, it has really come up with. And it is so very, I would say, elating that India is going abroad globally to offer its pharmacopoeia. That, look, this is, we Indians have produced, depend upon it. Because otherwise what happens in our other areas of research and development in IT, whatever, we are all dependent on foreign standards to do so. So I think there is a lot of blueprints which this beautiful commission, the IPC, again, the acronyms are quite rhyming with our other standards in a big way. So thanks a lot, Dr. Raghuvanshi, for really presenting such a complex, a complicated area. And pharmacovigilance, as you talked about, 500 centers, a very silent work which is happening without much of the clamor, but this is what it's all about.
And indeed, what you talked, sir, about the clinical practice and the rational use of medicines, and this is a very important aspect which you have thrown light on. I am a practicing physician and a doctor from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and we very much appreciate the rational use of drugs, understanding drug interactions, understanding side effects, prescribing, taking all these aspects into consideration,
We are
and
actually,
not over prescribing.
Currently, I am also collaborating with a National Health Authority under the aegis of Digital Health Program of India.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are actually preparing this drug registry for this country. So,
beautiful, sir.
as an organization, we are helping them to prepare the drug registry also. So, a lot of satisfactory things happening. An MP journey. I happy
and
to say
perhaps one of the poster cases for really inviting a lot of talent from the industry back to the government, because ये जो त्रयी है, ये जब तक घूमेगी नहीं, the torque is required of government, industry and academia to really make I would say India to move forward further and forward. And we have a very, very special I would say researcher again whom we want to bring in. We have with us Dr. Priyanka Bajaj, are another panelist for this afternoon, this commemoration of the World Pharmacists Day. And what a pleasure to have, what a galaxy of luminaries we have had the great fortune to have. So Dr. Priyanka Bajaj is a doctorate, she's a PhD and young passionate researcher. And this is the words of her director, Dr. Shashi Bala Singh. And one more very important point I would like to mention, we were researching all the NIPERs, and a large many of them have got women directors. Today, none of the IITs has got a women director. None of the IIMs have got a women director. But NIPERs as a whole, they have really got a lot of feminine talent. And that is really a very positive aspect out there. She is a researcher, teacher, and an assistant professor at the Department of Chemical Sciences at National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Hyderabad. And she has deep interest in green chemistry to make our societal development environmental friendly and affordable for everyone. And her research group is working on cutting edge field of biocatalysis based green chemistry, which is highly interdisciplinary area encompassing synthetic organic chemistry, process chemistry, and biochemistry. Her research mainly focuses on developing simple, novel, and green biocatalytical processes and enzymes for the complex synthetic chemistry challenges, mainly focusing on synthesis of chiral compounds of pharmaceutical importance. The biocatalysts are studied in detail for their structure-activity relationships and are engineered to catalyze important pharmaceutical reactions using the techniques of directed evolution. The libraries of various substrates and enzymes are synthesized and are further screened in high throughput mode using LC/MS, GC/MS, and UV spectrometry, and upscale and downscale synthetic processes are optimized. The group is exploring wide range of industrially important enzymes, including aldehyde dehydrogenase, myoglobin, P450s, keto reductase, transaminase, and others. Dr. Bajaj has got 12 years of experience in the field from working in the same area in her two postdoctorates at University of Rochester, New York, and University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA, as well as in her PhD from NIPER, Mohali. She is author and co-author of multiple reputed international research articles and patents, and has been awarded with several national and international academic awards. And she believes that evolution is the ultimate force of the universe, which has the power to change the world for better. And that's why evolving and discovering new biocatalysts by following nature's footsteps will ultimately lead to sustainable industrial development and healthy environment. So what a committed personality. And after having her higher education from some of the finest universities abroad, she chose to return back. Now, this is quite a Project Swadesh story, and we would like to listen more from Dr. Bajaj herself. We welcome her to this roundtable. And over to Dr. Bajaj for her words of wisdom.
Okay, good afternoon, Team Rethink India. Good afternoon, Dr. Rajiv, and good afternoon to Dr. Saurabh Srivastava and Dr. Shanti Moikar. And it is really humbling to share the platform with you all. And with the, I'm highly grateful to our director also for finding us, that, she can nominate us, and finding us capable enough for this platform. I am really grateful to her and to the team of Rethink India. Here I would like to start like my journey in the science. So I am a hardcore student of biotechnology from the starting. So this is I just want to say here in few lines that how I came into pharma. So I think it's a very general thing nowadays in all of us, that when we go on the roads or in the city, or when we are just walking on the roads, or somewhere in our streets. So as a child also and as a grown up also, I used to be very frustrated with the lot of polythene there, and lot of garbage there in all of the streets of like in the city as well as in and around. So somewhere I am frustrated with that this time also. Like we do not like garbage on the streets. And then one question used to come to me all the time, that how we can get rid of it. As a scientist, we are generating so much of waste, and we are not able to get rid of this waste. And especially I am from Haryana, so I am from Karnal, and I used to go to Delhi a lot because of lot of work related obligations. And when you go from Karnal to Haryana, it's a national highway, this is Chandigarh highway. And as soon as you enter into Delhi, there is a bypass where is a big pit, it's a dumping yard. As a child, when I was like 7 to 8 year old, when I used to travel along with my parents, I used to think like these are mountains, but there used to be a lot of smell there. And then I got to understand like these are not mountains, these are the dumping yards. And like where all the waste of the Delhi and the NCR comes, and and it is dumped. So it used to be like very, very disheartening to see that we have such big dumping yards, and we are not able to, clean our waste. And those mountains are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, with each passing day. And the smell is quite high on, that bypass also. I think we are doing a lot, government is doing a lot into, that area, that how to remove that waste. So my journey into the science started from there. I didn't like it. I still do not like it, and I didn't like it. So I used to think like, what can I do? Like, where we can, get rid of these kind of things, these kind of waste. So being as a student of biotechnology, I was studying enzymology also. And it came, while studying and while working with my professors in the masters also, that, the alternate way to get rid of this waste is to degrade the waste. To degrade the waste and enhance the rate of the degradation of the waste. And from there, this idea came into the mind that we should work with the biocatalyst or the enzymes, which can actually enhance the rate of the degradation for all the waste material. So I started from there. Then I did my PhD from NIPER Mohali with Dr. Pandey's lab, Dr. Abhij Pandey's lab. So he was also working on the enzymes, and we were working on development of one enzyme called as paraoxidase 1. So the main role we were developing paraoxidase 1 is for degradation of organophosphates. So he picked up this target. His lab is still working on it. He picked up this target because organophosphates are big neurotoxics. And they are used in pesticides. They are used in insecticides, and there is a lot of toxicity associated with it. The toxicity also affects a lot of our foods also. When we say that our food is pesticide laden or our food is insecticide laden, and we are using lots of pesticides and lots of insecticides, and our basically soil is very much contaminated with lots of pesticide and insecticides. And since I was in NIPER Mohali, it is a very much a part of Punjab. So there is a Bathinda Malwa region in the Punjab in which the whole soil and the water table got infected, we have damaged the whole water table and the soil there by use of excessive pesticides and the insecticide. So that region has converted into a cancer bed. A special train goes from there, from Bathinda to Jaipur, the cancer hospital. So, there are a lot of things we were reading, and, a delegation from the USA was researching on the soil and the water table of that region, that how to now, purify this water table and purify this soil. And we were also working with this organophosphate degrading agent. My lab, my PhD lab is still working on it. My professor, Dr. Pandya, is still working on it. He's developing a better enzymes can actually degrade these organophosphates. So I got trained there for evolving the enzymes for degradation of harmful chemicals, and also for the synthesis of the new chemicals also. Then after my PhD, I went abroad. I worked with some of the eminent professors in the field who were working with biocatalysis-based organic synthetic reactions. So I did 3 years of my training with them, and I realized that enzymes can be used, or biocatalysis can be used both ways. For like in the physiology also, it can be used both ways, for anabolism also and for catabolism also, right? It's a part of metabolism. So similarly, in nature also, it can be used both ways. Used for degradation of harmful chemicals also, and can be used for synthesis of the useful chemicals also. So I am taking both the parts right now, but focusing majorly on synthesis of useful chemicals, because nowadays, as per government's requirement, and since our environment is already very, very damaged, now we cannot afford to damage it further. All the government requirements and the environmental protective agencies guidelines are there to synthesize all the fine chemicals for the pharmaceuticals in a green way, so that the use of organic solvents can be minimized. So one of the way to make that green process is using biocatalysis. So I am trying to evolve enzymes in the lab which can actually catalyze very, very stereoselective, chemoselective, and regioselective chiral API synthesis. So that is the main area. Alongside, we are working on many different kind of enzymes, and we are trying to study them and study their structure activity relationship, like how we can use them in whatever way we would like to use them, like for degradation of like harmful chemicals, or for synthesis of new kind of chiral chemicals. So this is the whole theme of the lab. So this is how we are evolving now. And hopefully, currently we are working with many industries, and because all of the industries are now into doing chiral synthesis using biocatalysis. So we are developing processes for them, which we will transfer them, or we will generate as a co-PI, or like co-inventors or something. So this is going great till now, and it will keep on going great, since NIPERs are anyhow doing well, and our directors are working really hard to make this happen, that we come in contact with the industry. Whatever we do, we should know what their requirements are and how we can generate novelty into it, and how we both industry and academia can work in collaboration. Hopefully, the future looks very bright. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's simply terrific, because the entire environmental discourse in this country is either reserved to the policymakers or to some activists per se. But we have got some snipers from the NIPERs who are really working to really degrade those harmful chemicals and really bringing out those solutions. And somewhere or the other, what Dr. Raghuvanshi said, that the pharmacovigilance program is being taken to the next frontier per se. Like, the human health is one part, but the health of this planet, the industrialization, and how pharmacists are really working so very hard to keep the health of this Mother Earth in proper shape. And that is what Dr. Bajaj's research, the applied dimensions of it, are really working towards. It's really terrific, and what a day to really listen this all on this World Pharmacist Day. The very many dimensions which are opening up, because this is an era of interdisciplinarity. And as we read in her short bio note, her profile, that this is where the applied part of it. Tomorrow happens to be the 80th Foundation Day of CSIR, and we are having Dr. Sanjay Prasad from IHBT tomorrow to commemorate that day. So this interdisciplinarity, this commitment to really solve problems for the country as a whole. And at Rethink India, this remains our humble token effort to cheerlead these agents of real change who really work under silently for hours and years and maybe decades together to come up with a small molecule, as Dr. Srivastav said, repurposing a particular biomolecule or whatever. So this is what needs to be cheerled and communicated to the larger youngsters, the larger academia, because these are the true heroes of, I would say, the Naya Bharat, the Divya and Bhavya Bharat, of which we are talking a lot. But so last but not the least, we have got another very eminent researcher, an academic from the same NIPER. Another, I would say, it's such a lovely term, a sniper from NIPER, very focused, pinpointed. We have Dr. Shanti Kar, who is currently working as an assistant professor at NIPER Hyderabad. And before moving to NIPER in 2021, he worked as a postdoctoral researcher in University of Glasgow, UK, and in TU Darmstadt, Germany, after completing his PhD from IIT Kharagpur. So this happens to be my alma mater as well. And I would like to know from Dr. Kar that what it is so very attractive in these NIPERs that even after having so many of your postdoctoral degrees in some of the world's best universities, you are tempted to return back and join these NIPERs. In all your illustrious profiles, it's all your postdoctorals you have done from various globally acclaimed universities. And till date, Dr. Kar has been actively engaged with different interdisciplinary projects, which are primarily focused on developing point-of-care diagnostic solutions. Now, this is a very, very important emerging area, which were aimed to be served at the point-of-care settings for broader communities. And Dr. Surbhi, she being a practicing medical doctor, she knows that what is the so very relevance of a point-of-care diagnostics. And his current research interests are broadly focused in two themes, namely affordable diagnostics and organ on chip, by exploring different microfluidic tools. So I would just quickly move on to Dr. Kar, and we receive his inputs, his words of wisdom on this very, very special day of World Pharmacist Day. Over to Dr. Kar. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I am really excited to share this panel with Dr. Rajiv sir and with my senior colleagues from NIPER Hyderabad, Saurabh sir and Priyanka ma'am. And as Raghav said, that IIT Kharagpur is alma mater, so I spent there 9 years. I did my master's and PhD from IIT Kharagpur from 2009 till 2017. I was there, and then there mostly I did interdisciplinary work over there. I did my master's in chemistry and then did my PhD in an interdisciplinary theme on developing low-cost diagnostic solution, and then moved to Europe. So spent 1.5 years in Germany and almost little more than 2.5 years in UK before moving to NIPER. And as you might be aware that NIPER Hyderabad has started a new department of medical devices, which is pretty young, like it's 8 months or 9 months since its inception. So I'm working in that department. So the whole idea of this, my current focus, research focus is one is definitely point of care diagnostics, mostly like affordable diagnostics, and which we myself, when I started working in 2012 during my PhD, we realized its potential in the settings of specifically India or some of the lower and middle income countries in Africa. But COVID pandemic made it realize that it is important for everyone, whether you belong to a developed country or developing countries, whatever it is. So point of care diagnostics, because you can't meet the pace of diagnostics challenges without having a rapid diagnostics. So I have been fortunate, I would say, to work with a few esteemed groups where I have been associated with the device development, which we have significantly trialed over different sites in West Bengal for hemoglobin sensing. So we were engaged with a healthcare team, clinical team, who helped us in doing this clinical trial in the field setting. And while I was in UK, I actually was a part of a team where we focused a lot of testing in Africa. Particularly, we did field testing in Uganda, Malawi, and Vietnam, and recently we did a field testing in Thailand for different microbe testing. So that was basically the way. Means it's not about testing faster, it's also improving the community health. So it's means community testing. And why means where NIPER has the role to play here, like as Saurabh sir, Priyanka madam, they have explained that they are developing new drugs, new chemicals, but as also you have also touched upon the point that we are really need to look for the planet of the health of the planet. And so the way the research across the globe forwarding, like we need to be very stringent in our animal trials. So we won't be having like as many numbers of as we required number of animals to test any drug. So the other aspect of my research to develop on cheap organoids or organs to test the drugs or newly drugs on site. So that's how basically the role of these medical device technologies have a greater role to play in pharmaceutical science, particularly drug dose testing and its optimization to understand overdose and underdose of drugs to a specific organ. And like I would like to end my brief introduction by saying that the motivation of being in science, just to like the science, you can't lie or you can't tweak the facts. Like light means, for example, I could cite this as an example that light of speed of the light would be same irrespective of where you read or whoever you're being trained with. So that's the key motivation of being science. And I would like to end my brief introduction here and would like to have more discussion as the session goes along.
Thank you, Dr. Kar. And today we are really privileged to have such an eminent galaxy, and what a day to start this set of roundtables on the birth anniversary of one of the very vocal proponents of Indian Atmanirbharta, and it commemorates, it joins with the World Pharmacists Day. And as Dr. Raghuvanshi has given the larger macro vision of what Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is doing a human service to the nation at large. We are one of the world's prominent pharmaceutical hubs. So that is a pride of place for us. And this is truly an Atmanirbhar design, which our industry, academy and government have over the years, over the decades, have developed this kind of a spine. And somewhere or the other, this is where the future contours of innovation and governance and regulation probably lie over there. There are some very hidden facets over there. So thanks a lot, all the triumvirate from NIPER Hyderabad. We will be continuing this series of roundtables every Saturday at 3 p.m. till 11th of February, where we want to now converge this conversation into the formal conferment of this small token tribute in the name of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji. And see, this is how we can converge the collective strength and might of this country, the deep dedication which all of you, the years and years of studies, like you spend 9 or 10 years just at the IIT Kharagpur campus, It is so, because it's a tapascharya, it's a all, because higher research and development would just not happen overnight. Aaj jo FMCG thought process is coming to us, okay, let's import technology, let's do this, let's do that. But this is the kind of trouble, this is the kind of effort, this is the kind of sadhana which goes on in really building up a truly Atmanirbhar nation. And this we will be taking it further and forward to the entire academy at large, especially the school children who really want to understand and have a taste of what research is all about. It is not like Googling, okay, I did just 5 minutes of Googling and it's done. So the kind of challenges, the kind of intertwined, interdisciplinary areas which are over there. So over to Dr. Sulbi to give a formal vote of thanks for this inaugural roundtable.
It's really exciting to hear the achievements and the work done, phenomenal research and the great work done by the Triumvirate. And also it is a great fortune and privilege to hear Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi sir, who is leading the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission with such great vision and enthusiasm. And we are fortunate to have all your presence, Dr. Priyanka Bajaj, Dr. Shanti Moikar, Dr. Saurabh Srivastava. And we pledge to take this mission forward to inculcate, to further, invigorate the pro-people pharma sentiment in this sector and industry. So we are very, with great delight, I extend my heartful vote of thanks to all our distinguished delegates and guests. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.